7 Icon X-ray Golf Sierra. Icon X-ray Golf Sierra radar contact 5 miles north of Papa 482,000 feet.
Welcome to Flight Brothers FT, produced by Tim and Lee. Plan the flight and fly the plan. All charts courtesy of Navigraph charts, not to be used for real-world navigation. Be sure to subscribe and explore the rest of the channel for high-quality aviation content and entertainment.
Welcome to our Microsoft Flight Simulator Full Disclosure and First Impressions video. Highly anticipated to the market, this simulator looked like it was going to revolutionize the hobby of flight simulation. How is it out of the box, and should you care? All footage is from the $60 standard edition. Additional aircraft are included, but won't be shown to keep the video concise. The name of this product, of course, is Microsoft Flight Simulator, not Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, like the internet would lead you to believe. So for the remainder of the video, it'll be Flight Simulator, or MSFS, or something to that effect, so that we can separate it from other simulators that may be on the market. So that you can correlate the visuals, my system, I will tell you the details of it now, and I don't need any advice on throwing it in the trash or building a new one. So I have a Dell XPS 8930 tower with an i7 8700 6-core processor running at 3.2 gig, and that'll boost temporarily as needed to 4.6 gig. I have an NVIDIA 1070 video card. I have upgraded the RAM with a 32 gig Corsair Vengeance LPX running at 2.6 gig there. Hard drives consist of a 256 gig SSD, but the simulators reside on a 2 terabyte 7200. And the reason I give you all this information is so that you, the viewer, can see what I have, what my system specifications are, and what you're seeing on screen. This computer was used to capture everything that you see here, so any stutters, chop, effects, all of that is through here. So that is so you can understand what you have and compare it to what I have. Obviously, if you have higher specification equipment, you should expect probably better performance. The inverse would also be true. If you're below what I have, I would expect performance issues, that would go along with that. That only naturally makes sense. We're running a 4K resolution with high settings. This was the system default upon installation. I changed nothing. Skeptical of the beautifully produced publicity videos and screenshots while this product was in development, I really tempered my excitement. Honestly, had it not been for an opportunity with fselite.net, it's unlikely that either Tim or I would have purchased Microsoft Flight Simulator probably this year, before 2021. The high resolution video over highly detailed and handcrafted cities and airports, that experience and what might be shown in those promo images, to me was a different experience, or likely to be a different experience, than a cross-country flight in a Cessna 172 over Wilcox, Deming, and Truth or Consequences. Yes, those are real places, and no, I don't think anything on Microsoft Flight Simulator is handcrafted in any of those locations. If you've never heard of them, you probably aren't alone. They're in Arizona and New Mexico. I was a veteran of past Microsoft Flight Sim products, 98, 2002 Pro, and Century of Flight, Flight Sim 9, and Flight Sim 10, FSX. I didn't really get into FSX a whole lot because my computer at that time was turning into a bit of a dinosaur, so it wasn't able to run it. So I focused mostly on FS9, played it for years, had a lot of add-ons, etc. They left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth when they bailed on the industry that I kind of feel like they created with home flight simulation in the late 2000s. And then I joined X-Plane 11 in 2018 after playing a little bit over at Tim's house. So what is the biggest challenge I've experienced? Well, with this game, again, most of the content you've seen on our channel is X-Plane 11. So the biggest challenge I've experienced is setting up your keyboard and peripherals. Tim and I say this all the time, numerous podcasts and our live streams, videos, etc. A simulator is a simulator. So if the simulator is doing its job, a DA62 that you're seeing on screen now in Flight Sim, Microsoft Flight Simulator, should in theory be no different than an X-plane in P3D and FSX, whatever. I mean, if DCS had one, it should be the same. You should start it, you should fly it should have the same performance. We know there's slight variations, and that's fine. But once you get your input devices set up, the trim does the trim, the throttle does the throttle, irrespective of what simulator your computer's running. So let's get on to the big show here, graphics. Well, the scenery uses, or has the option to use, the high-res Bing streaming data, which is what you're seeing on screen. Really, this is comparable to a high-quality ortho. I have around 240 gig of ortho and Orbex scenery on my X-Plane 11. This has recreated the whole world. I've recreated, Southern England, Southern California, and about 3 states. So this is kind of more efficient in a way if you're going to travel all over the place. If you stay around one place, then I think the ortho scenery, that type of stuff really works out, or other products that would give you that experience. The terrain mesh I have found on flight simulators so far has been very good. It's very believable. The altitudes look right, whether you're in mountainous terrain. I mean, flatlands like you're seeing here in central Indiana as we fly over Indianapolis Motor Speedway is pretty easy to replicate. So the auto gen also impressed me. Trees look like where trees should be. City centers and buildings are where they should be. So they've done a real nice job, and from what I understand, that's a complex AI. The aircraft, I fired up 172 and went flying, and it had for the X-plane people, a live brain-ish effect. The prop started, it kind of blew some of the water off the windscreen, so very nice. I have seen icing both on the leading edge and the windshield with the default citation. You'll see here a little later the Flight Design CTSL. That is the only thing you're going to see that is not a default airport. That is actually a free scenery available from Orbex through your download manager or at orbexdirect.com. Check that out. One of the things that have also come up that I've seen is global landmarks. I guess they kind of made a bit of a cock up of Buckingham Palace. Okay, well, again, Tim and I kind of have this feeling if you're replicating the world, there's going to be things you miss. Is Buckingham Palace prominent and important? Yes, but it happens. It's better than no building representing it at all being the simulator. So with that, let's go ahead and move to sounds. I feel that the sounds are high quality. Are they the highest we've seen? No. Again, we're talking about a open the box, use the simulator, and I think they're definitely satisfactory. The traffic, of course, you have global live traffic and real players, which will be neat. As you can see on screen right now, we have numerous players in our area. I don't know the draw distance on the on how far away they are from us. I wish I knew that or could adjust that. Maybe you can. I haven't got into it that far, but I believe it's fixed. So how about the interface? Well, after you download it, I mean, we're talking 93 gig here. The menu's very clean. It's a little bit gamey, I would say. It's a minimalistic presentation, likely to be friendly for console users when it comes out. That's not to say it's bad. It's just an observation. The joystick assignments, as I've mentioned, I didn't care for those, but once I set it up, it was all right. The in-flight menu, man, if you want a button to do a task, it is not near as easy as it is in X-plane. In X-plane, if you put, I want, carb heat on, and I want it to be the I button, you go to carb heat on, press I. It is not that way in this simulator. So, comparing the two, I much prefer X-plane 11's ability to assign those tasks. The POV hat, you get used to it. You've got by default, your snap left, snap rights, and they kind of move up and down. You can still right click and pan with the mouse, so that's where I do a lot of my flying in. Aircraft handling. Let's talk about aircraft handling. Everything seems normal when you're using the autopilot. I mean, an autopilot banks at a standard rate and performs these tasks. So, with that, the Cessna, the Zlin, Savage Cub, the Cub Crafters, the Flight Design CTSL, all trimmed nicely. The Cub Crafters to me seemed a little overly sensitive on rudder, and I didn't really have a clean takeoff or landing with it in numerous flights. The Zlin was much more enjoyable. Trim did seem to be kind of an exponential increase, and what I mean by that is, if I tap the trim on my joystick, it barely moves, but if I tap and hold it, I get a slow movement followed by an increasing rate. So again, something to adapt to. It's not really linear. Now, air traffic. This is something that is kind of a mixed bag, depends on where you stand on it. You have the ability to have your co-pilot auto-tune the radios and do that stuff. The few times I've used the air traffic just to experience it, I do that. I don't need to sit there and turn the radios. If you have no idea how air traffic control works, perhaps it would give you a very rudimentary experience. I think if you really care to learn, the best teacher is going to be listening to something like liveatc.net and using that as a guide, and then maybe working yourself with a patient controller on VATSIM in airspace that is not heavily populated. So it's going to improve your ability to communicate with ATC. Honestly, I don't feel that it is. Is it something to do to kind of provide additional background and a sense of experience? Well, maybe. I don't find a lot of value in it, and I rarely use the air traffic. Well, I found Navigraph Simlink worked. I was doing a flight around, and I just logged into my charts.navigraph account, and it overlaid my location. I found that fantastic, actually. I didn't even have to tell it where the simulator was. Is it going to replace your current sim? I don't think so. Not in the near future. If you're like me, you have hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of add-ons. You enjoy those aircraft. You've purchased those, the scenery, whether it be ortho or airports or autogen upgrades, etc. From a visual aspect, unless you have a global ortho or scenery pack, I don't think anything compares to the streaming global data and AI autogen. I mean, hands down, and I think we all know this since they started teasing images of this in development, this is where it really shines. Does it handle exactly like some of the other sims in low-speed flight? To be honest, I don't know. I haven't experienced that. But when you're just hand flying around in light aircraft, it seems to be believable. When you're flying on autopilot, of course, automated flight is pretty much all the same anyway. It's all held within the same rules and constraints of the programming. So call it the same. I think right now this is a wonderful complement to an existing flight simulator if you already have one. Of course, Tim and I are well invested in X-Plane 11, and I know other users will be in FSX or P3D. I don't think you're going to bail on it, not right now. The market's already increasing with Orbex and Aeronautical releasing launch day products, so it's out there and it's going to rapidly expand. $60 gets you a beautiful recreation of the world, and you're only going to get better aircraft and higher detailed airports in the future. So should you get the standard edition or one of the higher end ones? Well, that's kind of up to you. Do you want an aircraft that's in those? If so, go ahead. Do you want one of the handcrafted airports that's in that? If so, go ahead. For me, I think if you want an airport that you fly from frequently, probably the add-on community will eventually support it. So $60 is fine with me. I don't really miss having the higher end stuff. I mean, I fly from a lot of obscure airports anyway, so I doubt any of these would be in that default pack. So let's go ahead and wrap this up and put a bow on it. If you're not in the flight sim world currently, or you have been out for a while, I think Microsoft Flight Simulator is an excellent place to join or rekindle that old flame. It's going to give you the instant gratification of looking for your house and flying around an area you're familiar with, looking for landmarks. After you've grown a bit tired of that and you wonder what to do, remember, a simulator is a simulator and the whole world is on your desktop. And I don't think there's anything out there that presents it more beautifully right now. So take a look at our other videos. Maybe they will inspire you to fly somewhere you wouldn't otherwise. We've got a whole catalog of varying aircraft and experience levels. Use that, and of course the YouTube world's fantastic. Several of our flights that we've done on our channel have come from those of the other aviation content creators have done. So Microsoft Flight Simulator is here to stay. Is it worth the hype? Well, that is up to you. Hopefully I've been able to provide you a little bit more information, that I don't have a rocket ship for a gaming computer, and I don't run it at maxed out settings, and I've still enjoyed it. For the Flight Brothers FT, I'm Lee, reminding you to plan the flight and fly the plan. We'll see you in the next video. If you enjoy this content, consider buying us a coffee to show your support. Visit us at buymeacoffee.com/flightbrosft, or search for us from the menu if you'd like to contribute. A link will be provided in the video description below.